I've lived alone for almost 20 years. My apartment building is old but quiet, the kind of place where you can walk the hallways and never hear a sound, until last week. It started with a phone call. My cell rang at 2:13 a.m. I never answer calls this late. The number was my own. I froze. "Hello?" I whispered. "Nothing. Just breathing. Heavy, deliberate." I hung up. Thought it was a prank. The next night, the same number. Same time. Same breath. I stayed awake until sunrise, wondering who could be calling me from, myself. By the third night, it got worse. I began hearing footsteps above me. My apartment is on the 3rd floor. The building only has 3 floors. I tried to convince myself it was old plumbing, the floors creaking. But the footsteps were deliberate, soft at first, then slow, heavy. Pausing right above my bedroom. I called the building manager. "Nobody's on the roof or the top floor," he said. "You're the last apartment." I told myself it was paranoia. I started sleeping with all the lights on, phone in hand. But then the calls changed. "Don't look," a whisper said, unmistakably my own voice, but slower, colder. I couldn't sleep at all. I tried recording the calls. Playback only had silence. Nothing on the line except the faintest scraping noise. Like nails dragging across wood. Last night, I fell asleep in the living room. I woke at 2:13 a.m. to my phone ringing. My hand shook as I answered. "Don't look," the voice said again. I froze. From the bedroom came a slow, deliberate creak. The footsteps had returned. Above my bed. I wanted to run. I reached for the lamp. That's when I heard it, my own voice, coming from inside the bedroom, whispering, "Why are you leaving me down here?" I sprinted to the door. It wouldn't budge. I looked back. Standing there, was me. Same clothes, same tired expression, pale and unmoving. Only the eyes were wrong. They were darker. Hollow. I slammed my phone down in terror. When I woke this morning, the apartment was empty. The front door unlocked. My neighbor swears they saw me leave, but I never did. And now, my phone just rang. Second story. I live in a small town in Maine, in a house that's older than I am. It has thick wooden floors, narrow hallways, and a creaky attic. I like the quiet, the way the wind rattles the windows, the way my house feels like it's breathing with me. A few weeks ago, I was home alone. My wife had gone to visit her sister in Vermont, and my kids were away for the weekend. It was late, around 10 p.m., and I was sitting in the living room with a glass of bourbon and an old book. That's when I heard the knock. Slow. Deliberate. At the front door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I peered through the peephole. No one. The street was empty, the fog thick and low. I shrugged it off, thinking it must have been a branch or an animal. But the knock came again. This time, it was louder, insistent. I opened the door, nothing. Just a small package sitting on my porch. I picked it up. No note. No return address. Just a black box, heavy, almost warm to the touch. Inside, there was a single photograph. It was of my living room. Taken, just minutes ago. From the hallway, angled toward my chair. My bourbon glass still on the table. I froze. The package made no sense. I don't have anyone who would play a prank like this. I called the police, but there was nothing they could do. No fingerprints. No surveillance footage. Nothing. The next night, I locked every door, every window. I checked the attic, the basement, the garage. Nothing. Yet I kept hearing it, faint scratching, like someone pacing slowly across the living room floor above my chair. Then, a whisper. Soft. Just at the edge of hearing. Why did you leave me? Asterisk. I live alone. My wife was in Vermont. My kids, miles away. No one should be there. I started checking my photos on my phone. My security camera footage. Nothing. Except one frame, a shadow in the corner of the living room. Standing perfectly still. Watching me. I told myself it was a trick of the light. But last night, I woke to the sound of breathing in the kitchen. Heavy, deliberate. Not mine. I grabbed the baseball bat I keep under the bed and crept downstairs. Nothing. Except the black box. It had returned. This time, inside was another photo. Me. Sitting in my chair, asleep. And behind me, someone standing. Someone wearing my face. I ran to the door. Locked. Windows jammed shut. The last thing I heard before the power went out was a whisper, unmistakable. Now I'm taking over. Asterisk. When I woke, the house was silent. Empty. But on my phone, there was a new photo. Someone sitting in my chair. Holding my glass. Smiling at the camera. And I'm outside now. Watching. Waiting. Third story. I wasn't planning to stay up that late. I work early shifts, warehouse freight, 5 a.m. clock in, but that night my insomnia had hooked its claws in again. So I sat in the living room, doom-scrolling like an idiot, while the house settled in the Midwestern cold. The kind of cold that makes the floorboards crack like they're warning you. I was halfway through a video of a raccoon stealing cat food when the screen glitched, just a flicker, like a buffering hiccup. Then it cut to a live stream. No username. No thumbnail. No chat. Just, a camera feed. A room appeared. Bare drywall. A single window, blacked out by night. A desk with an old CRT television. The sort of place you'd find in a basement no one had finished, or an abandoned farmhouse. I reached for the remote to kill the TV, assuming this was some weird ad or prank. But then a man stepped into frame. He wore jeans and a flannel shirt. Tall. Shoulders slightly hunched, like his body forgot how to be human. But what froze me wasn't his posture. It was the way he looked directly into the camera, into me, as if he already knew I was watching. I couldn't see his eyes clearly, but I swear the skin around them twitched in tiny spasms, like something underneath was moving. He lifted a finger to his lips. I should have turned the TV off. I should have thrown the remote across the room. But my insomnia buzzed with that awful energy that makes curiosity stronger than fear. So I sat there, breathing slow, shallow breaths. The man walked to the CRT and tapped the top of it. Static filled my living room speakers, soft at first, then rising to a rattling hiss. Through the static came words, distorted. Do you hear it yet? I felt it before I heard it. Something thumping deep in the house. A slow, deliberate knock. From under the floorboards. My house sits on a crawl space, rats sometimes, maybe raccoons, but this was different. Too heavy. Too, timed. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks. Like it was copying something. I muted the TV. The knocking kept going. When I unmuted it, the man in the feed had tilted his head, listening. Then he smiled. A stretched, too wide smile that made my stomach twist. It followed me home too. My throat went dry. Is this some interactive nightmare? I muttered, but my voice sounded tiny. The man stepped out of frame. The feed kept running. For maybe 2 minutes, the only sound was that bone-deep static. Then he returned, dragging something behind him. A body. No shot of the face, thank God. Just the limp weight of it, legs trailing like wet laundry on concrete. He propped the body against the CRT, almost lovingly, like he was showing me his new toy. Don't worry, he said softly. It doesn't want your body yet. It wants your attention. The lights in my house flickered. For the first time, panic broke fully through the insomnia fog. I grabbed the remote and hit power. Nothing. I stood up. The TV stayed on, humming that low, vibrating hum that made the hair on my forearms rise like static electricity. The man leaned closer to the camera until most of the feed was just his face, pale, pores too big, skin too thin. Pressed up so close I could almost smell the damp on him. You muted me earlier. He paused. It didn't like that. Behind him, the body twitched. And something inside my walls answered with a dragging sound. I backed away from the TV, step by step, eyes locked on the screen. The man's smile twitched wider, teeth slightly too many, or maybe I was finally losing it. Ask it a question, he whispered. Anything. It likes conversation. No, I said. Nope. I'm done. My voice shook. I ran to the breaker box in the hallway and flipped the main switch. The house went black. The TV stayed on. Its glow filled the hallway like a surgical lamp. Static climbed in volume, screeching. I covered my ears, but the sound wasn't just from the speakers. It was vibrating through the floor. Through the walls. Through me. Then. The feed shifted. The webcam inside the basement room angled down. The body was gone. The man was gone. And the view changed. It was no longer showing the strange room. It was showing the inside of my crawl space. I recognized the insulation, the cracked support beam I kept promising to fix, the pattern of leaves blown in from the vent. Something crawled out of the dark on all fours. I didn't stay long enough to see what. I grabbed my coat, my keys, and drove until my hands stopped shaking. I sat in the parking lot of a 24-hour diner until sunrise, numb, telling myself it was a psychotic break, a dream, anything. When I returned home in the morning, the TV was off. The house silent. Everything normal. For 2 days, I convinced myself it was stress, night terrors, bad sleep. Until this morning. My phone buzzed with a notification. Live stream starting. No username. No thumbnail. Just a black screen with a single line of text. You muted it again. And from somewhere under my floorboards. 3 knocks. A pause. 3 knocks. And now. Now something else. Dragging. Getting closer. If you're still listening, take my advice. Don't mute the feed. Don't turn it off. And whatever you do, don't look under your house. It doesn't want your body yet. It just wants your attention. For now.